The real question is this. It pays to be lucky, but how long can you keep it going? And only Avery knows the truth. She will tell us here by the end of the broadcast. Hey, babe.
Hi.
Hi. She will tell us just how long the Chiefs can keep this roll going. It's going to be a lot of fun. No. Oh, I have a nice echo here somewhere. So we're going to play with that. Dan, how you doing today?
You know, it's a Monday. Monday is my busiest day, but we're finally live for the Q&A, so I'm happy to be able to talk more about the Chiefs. And I was actually on with Sterling on the Bleacher Report app, Sterling Holmes, who does ESPN Kansas City and the Arrowhead Addict podcast. We were talking about it earlier today, so I feel pretty good about how I'm going to come about this, and we're going to watch some film later tonight to really wrap it all together. So we're here to answer some questions, guys, and I'm looking forward to it.
I am as well. We are taking all your questions. You guys run this show. We just provide the answers. So hit that super chat. Every super chat gets an answer. Every topic gets answered. Dan, I lost them when we started, so I'm going to have to rely on you to start them off. Chad is the first guy that made it for me, so we're going to go with it. But Notorious, you're up first. Here, I'll read it. You answer it. McCall to Nico. Double reverse. Fake back to Patrick. Watson mid-range. Kelsey blocking. Worthy to the house 50-yard bomb, TD, fantasy, or no? Good Lord, man, I like the way you draw stuff up. But Dan, is that fantasy or no?
Oh, it's absolutely fantasy. I'm trying to figure out when this was from because this says 8:07 p.m. and it is absolutely not 8:07 p.m. So appreciate you being here. If you are actually here, if this is not from a different stream, I'm not entirely sure, but I appreciate the creativity that you came up with this. I would love to see it. I'll be very honest. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I'm ready for some craziness. I am all about it. Notorious, thank you, buddy. It's good to see
Appreciate
you. But before we move on too much farther, folks, I want to give a quick shout out to the Lobos volleyball team. You guys had a hell of a season. I'm proud of you guys. So way to go. All right. Got to get that out of the way for my fans, my friends that are watching. Okay. Good job, ladies. All right. Next up.
Whoopsies. There we go. All right, Steve. Why do we keep trying to kick into the landing zone? We had bad results since the very first preseason game. I don't know why they don't just boot it out of the end zone. They came out in the first week of the season just saying that the numbers say to keep doing that, and yet we're still messing around with this thing. It makes no sense. Just put it at 30. Don't risk it. And this one made no sense either because it was just kind of a whiff, and it felt like Butker didn't care about it and just assumed it would go where it needed to. I don't know. That's just a little weird. Just kick it out of the end zone.
Yeah, just make it a no-brainer. That's what I would be doing too. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you. Thanks for being one of our members. You guys will get my notes. I'm a little late putting them up today because I've had a very full day, but you'll have them shortly.
Absolutely. Full days on Mondays are just kind of the par for the course, right? It's just kind of how it is. Steven, welcome in, one of our members here at RJR. You guys can real quick, just go over if you want to join the rookie or above levels. There's a join button down here somewhere below me on my side. I assume I've never actually seen it, but I'll get you guys into that Discord so you can talk with all the people in there. And it's run by FLDB, who does a fantastic job doing that. I'm making a Chiefs bingo card. The free space is the game is weird. Any suggestions to add to it? You got any for him, Ryan?
Pat isn't motivated yet. Where's Kelsey? Some
good ones.
Can we just get somebody to hit the quarterback? Like, there's a couple of them there. All this will be taken care of when they get to January, and certainly I think they'll start to tick up in December, but I think we're going to keep playing bingo for a little bit.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. And it doesn't matter what it is. Are we going to get a double doink at some point? And maybe this time instead someone kicks a field goal and it doinks off. You could put that there too. We already had the blocked kick. Harrison Butker, 60-plus yard field goal. There's just so many different things you could go with and to be able to do that. Maybe a little Kelsey lateral for a touchdown on there too. Just get creative with it, Steve.
Oh, God. And folks, before we go too much farther, make sure you check out BetUS. You can get 150% on that code YouTube150 right now from our friends at BetUS. I know a lot of you like to get in the action, and if you don't or you're interested, it's super, super simple. Go sign up with our code that's down below, and this code, YouTube150, will get you 150% up to 3 times up to $2,000. give it a shout. I'm excited about where this whole process is going. So, what's the crazy question? I'm ready for that.
I wish we could get some of these. Do you have this one? Or no? The second Chad.
No, must be
Okay,
the
second
second.
Chad. All right, cool. We got two more and then you're all caught up. So
Okay,
Chad says, do you think the Chiefs will call up a I don't know, Chad. Sorry. Hopefully, I assume you're still in here. You got a couple more questions in here as well. So if you could go ahead and fill that in here for us, then we can answer that question absolutely, Chad.
Well, let me take it from here for a second. Andy said today, when asked about the three big Pacheco, Amenahue, and Juju, he thinks Juju is the farthest ahead. So I would normally have answered, say, hey, maybe they could call up a wide receiver. I don't think that they will if they have the potential of getting Juju back. That's a big step. That allows, I think, another aspect of the tree for DeAndre Hopkins to play off of. So that is quite a big deal. And let's hope that that happens this week.
Oh, it would be nice to see them get more of a consistent wide receiver trio out there, because we're seeing, I think, Xavier kind of being in between roles at this point. And we know Andy Reid doesn't necessarily like to streamline the rookies. They are, in terms of getting him holistically involved in the offense. They have a role and they play it. And now when you have Rashee Rice go out, you have Hollywood Brown go out, his role has almost been forced to be different than what it probably was to begin the season. So it would be nice to have Juju out there with, Xavier Worthy and DeAndre Hopkins to give you a better idea of what it's going to look like for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to go about it. Like, make the trio start to grow. I think that'll happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. Steve, nice to see you, man. With all the injuries this year, are we surprised how the team depth has stepped up and played well on our winning streak? I think they have, at least in my eyes, they had a lot of experience with guys that were healthy but not really contributing at the wide receiver position. So they've kind of dealt with that adversity of having the same players, but them not having that contributing factor. So I think that there are some areas definitely at the wide receiver position where we're seeing, it's nice to have that game from Juju Smith-Schuster. Obviously he's been hurt, but you have Justin Watson's making plays. Now you've got DeAndre Hopkins making plays. So they're doing a good job there. I think where they're being a little bit more hurt is defensively. They're having to really piece this thing together on the second cornerback spot. Some of the linebackers, not necessarily because of injury, but because you don't have Willie Gay there anymore. There are just kind of roles being situated around and things like that. But I do think that the injury to Mike Dana helped get FAU on the field a bit more, and he's developing. And I think that we're seeing some good things for him. And that play he made yesterday was huge. It was a fantastic play. What do you think? Do you have any ideas or thoughts on that?
No, I'm glad that you mentioned FAU, because I was going to say the same thing. You saw him make a push more. You saw him get past all the white shirts on the offensive line a little bit more last week. And that's really the key. Yes, I think he was in on the kick block as well, but he was playing a wider role, more varied role, somebody that they can rotate in. Obviously, Usha has hit the ground running. Still don't understand or conceive what's going on with Cam Thomas, but Amenahue on the radar now. Cam Thomas still in the back pocket. You're getting to the point where the backups have contributed to the point where you might have, as the Chiefs kind of plan their whole season around, being at your strongest point in December and going into January. So that's working. Obviously, Hollywood will be the answer there at wide receiver. You can't really rely on the possibility of Rice coming back. It's been very quiet about him, and I expect that's on purpose.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. It's tough. You don't want that to happen. And the worst situation, right? Just a fluke injury that unfortunately was caused from a turnover. So, yeah, I think that they're doing a good job of getting through what they can with the injuries they have. And, Andy Reid talked today about how a couple of these guys may be back this very soon. Isaiah Pacheco getting back in the next 2 weeks would be huge for this team and for Kareem Hunt's body specifically. So hopefully that helps them out and they can get them out there. So this is the big talking point. This is the big talking point. Andy Reid addressed it today, talked about people. Are we going to see them bring in Donovan Smith or David Bakhtiari, things like that? So there's multiple questions about Kingsley. Okay. We're going to try to address this right off the top. I think that's the best way to handle this. So we've got one here from Chad to kick it off. What do you think is making Kingsley struggle more confidence or technique? Let's see. We got another one here from Cody too. We're going to talk about this at the same stratosphere. Can we please quit trying to develop tackles? The Chiefs have not shown the ability to do so. Kingsley looks worse than he did earlier. Go make a trade in the offseason. Tired of seeing Pat hit. That is a mixed bag, Cody. But like I said, we're going to get into it. Let's start with Chad's first. What are your thoughts on this question from Chad?
I believe that it is more just not even both of those are contributing factors, in my opinion. But I believe that the realization has come to him. And this is why I believe that he looked okay in OTAs. He looked decent in camp. And as the regular season started, it started to degrade a little bit, right? Because he, like his cousin in Detroit, rely on their athleticism. You know, Penne plays really, really nasty, right? He gets off the ball. He plays angles. He has come into his own over the last couple of seasons. I think Kingsley will do the same thing, but it's, oh, crap. I don't have the athletic advantage over the guys that are rushing me like I had in college. I think it's that realization. And so it does shake your confidence a little bit. It does make you go back and refine your technique. And it does have, and this is my overarching observation from yesterday, it does make you have to have a higher sense of urgency. I didn't see the violent kick step that he's got to have on his first kick to get his butt out of there. He's perfectly capable of it, but I don't think he's had to dig that deep into the bag before until he got to the NFL level. He will adjust, and I think he will get there. Sounds like Andy agrees. What do you think?
Yeah, this is a case of, honestly, I thought he looked good week one against the Ravens. He had some moments for it, but he looked good overall. I thought that was a confidence booster. And then the Cincinnati Bengal game hits and everything goes downhill from there, right? Like it's all pretty much over. He gets pulled and benched. And now we're seeing him in spots where Wanya Morris gets hurt and it's not good. Well, when you're not taking reps at the ones, you're not getting the practice in the week and things like that. It can put it out of whack. I would say it's more confidence to play with the technique, like Ryan's talking about. You have to have that confidence to do what you're supposed to do. And I'll going just watching some of his drops. He's doing what he's supposed to do in terms of hitting with his outside hand versus an outside rush and trying to hit with his inside hand versus an inside counter, but it's not as fast, right? He's going against speed guys and they're kind of winning with that. So he's got to get adjustment to that. So, and then to Cody's point, I think I would disagree with the fact that they can't develop tackles. I think that's not true. I think that they made Eric Fisher into a top 10 tackle, and he was one of the most raw tackles that we've seen over the past decade to work into what he did coming out again of a small school. It took him years before he was able to even be a productive left tackle. But there's more pressure on this team. So when you draft a tackle in the second round, people say, well, he should just come in and start and be great. And I'll be honest, I thought he was going to come in and play very well. And again, I thought in week one he played well. So I had expectations for myself, and I think that we all kind of set those expectations for him. But there's pressure on this team to win a third straight Super Bowl, and there's more pressure on Patrick's plate this year. So all of it is coming down to he's just not good enough. It's kind of give up on this guy. That's not how you should ever treat young players, specifically tackles who take, especially coming out of BYU, who are athletes that are upside plays. And I was wrong about him needing to come in and start and be that guy. I think Wanya Morris has done a good job, but he's going to take a little bit of time.
I think that's fine. I would actually argue I would have preferred if he came in and started, to tell you the truth, because I think his progression would have been jumped by now. Yeah.
At this point, what I mean to say is that we don't have we can't go back and get that time back, right? We can't say, well, if he would have started the Bengals games after the Bengals game, he'd be great now, or like that. We don't have that time anymore. So I think Wanya Morris came in and did what he could, and he's gotten better, I think, as the time has gone along. And we're seeing Kingsley where his confidence is shot and the players are just better than he's used to playing against. So it's okay to develop players and to not force them into situations. And that's not just with quarterbacks. It's at every other position in the NFL.
Yeah. And let me remind you subtly as well, this team, maybe not one individual player, but this team, the Denver Broncos, This was maybe the worst team for him on this schedule this year to have to be thrown into the ball game without getting the reps with the one during the practice week. Because Denver has the second highest total of sacks this season as a defense. They're one behind the New York Giants. Again, Giants a bad team. Denver a solid team, but their defense is leading the way.
Yeah.
They have 35 sacks on the season at this point. And I mean, like, yes, TJ Watt's going to be a hell of a matchup coming up in a couple of weeks. You have a couple of guys in Buffalo, but Buffalo is like, I think they're number 10. Pittsburgh is number 18. Denver Broncos are second in the league in producing sacks. So tough bill for him to walk into this ballgame.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So I know it's frustrating sometimes, guys. And again, I know I set some expectations for him as well. I think we all did, but Kingsley is going to take some time, and I think that's okay with understanding that a little bit for all these guys. Scott, what's going on, man? It looks like McDuffie is struggling since Watson went down. Should we be concerned? He doesn't look like he's as comfortable playing just the boundaries. Am I wrong? I don't think you're too far off. I think it is an adjustment period for him. He did play outside with L'Jarius Sneed, but it was outside until they were in nickel and dime, and then he was going to the slot, right? He was coming down and he was playing more comfortable there. So you're playing against far bigger receivers. And I do think that there are times where he's trying not to necessarily get too close to them because he'll be out physical. He just will be. And I think against Cortland Sutton, he was like, if I let him get too close to me, he's going to body me out of the way. So I'm going to try and play either behind him or in front of him. And that's, I think, where you started to see, honestly, Cortland Sutton show his underrated ability to get open underneath. That's something that I didn't think he had anymore, and he showcased it yesterday.
And I'll say this, if Jalen Watson's on the field yesterday, he's the guy shadowing Cortland Sutton because you put McDuffie on everyone else because of that physicality factor. So, yes, he does miss Jalen. And no offense, Najee played a good game. Even Joshua, when he was on, looked solid. I didn't see anything, totally blown, right? But Jalen Watson is the second best corner on this roster for a reason. And it is because he will take assignments like Cortland Sutton and he will physical the hell out of him, right back at him. And that's, I think, the difference.
I agree. So yeah, hopefully he gets more comfortable playing on the outside. I think it's just going to take sometimes a little bit of time. I do think, however, when it comes down to it, these guys are going to play in December, in January, in February at a much higher rate and a much better, I think, more competitive atmosphere. That's really what they live for. Thanks for another question here, Steven. How do you feel about the Bills matchup? Matt Verderam, I can't pronounce his last name. Sorry, Matt. Verderam thinks the Chiefs should be able to just pound the Bills defense, but the Bills also have great weapons to beat the linebackers in Kincaid and Cook. So just before I give this to Ryan, Kincaid did sustain an injury against the Colts yesterday. He came back out for a couple plays, but he came right back off the field. So I don't know if he's going to be available for this game. With that taken into consideration, how do you feel about the matchup?
The Bills are somewhere right in the middle. I want to say they're like 18th in yards allowed on the ground. So I do like the concept, and you guys know how I feel about the run game. I won't say that you can demand that, though, because I would have said until yesterday that if you were going to attack the Broncos, the way to do it was probably going to be on the ground. They just didn't have it yesterday. Broncos are I think 11th in total yards allowed on the ground. So I don't think it's as simple as that. I do think we're going to have to look at the matchups in particular and see if there's a crease there. I don't feel, between you and me, that they ran enough power yesterday. And that's because they were crashing gaps and they were getting penetration. They couldn't really allow that. But I do think against the Bills, that is something that you can do. And it is something that you should pursue to try to make that point. Now, I don't know if it's going to work, but you have to investigate it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like probing. You got to try each gap, see who's where, see who's actually playing well. I want to say Buckner was their highest rated yesterday. Let me double check that against the run up front. And as I do it, no, it was Grover Stewart. So kudos to them. They have some big bodies in the middle. You're going to have to find that crease, and maybe they've already found it. I don't think that it's Buckner, and honestly, I don't think that it's Stewart. So for me, it's again hitting the counters, getting misdirection, making guys change direction in pursuit of the run game, and I think hitting the edges. I loved the toss play yesterday. I think they need to go back to that and try to attack Russo on the edge and the nickels on the edge and the safeties. Make them come up and hit them with Kareem, and I think that will pay off.
Yeah, I guess I just don't think that they're going to be able to attack the edges as well against the Bills. I think that the way that Sean McDermott consistently gets these guys in the right teaching spot, like they're always in the right spots. I think that that's one of the big selling points for the Bills defense is that no matter who's out there, they play very sound structural defense. And that's, they have to be able to execute their game plan, right? I don't think you're going to get what the Broncos were able to do against the run. So you have to execute your between the tackles game. Like that's what they're best at. That's what Kareem Hunt is best at. And if you can't do that, you're going to have to find some different ways to, I don't know, maybe get some different guys involved because they need to be able to run the football. So whether it is Carson Steele or, Samaje Perine, I mean, at this point, those are your only options. But also, if you want to attack the edges a little bit, quick passes to Xavier Worthy and McCole Hardman, some end arounds. Mix it up a little bit. We didn't see one end around last week at all. And when you're struggling to run the football, I would have thought they'd want to do something a little bit different to maybe get some of these linebackers triggering one way and then maybe go the opposite way. So just do something a little bit different to engage how these linebackers and maybe mess with their calls a little bit more.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Misdirection is your friend. And I love the concept, but let's just be blatant about it. Put Xavier out there behind Travis and Hendershot. Give him some big bodies to block for him. If you're going to run a screen, run a damn screen.
Yeah, who cares if they know? Just have your players beat their players. That's what you're supposed to be able to do in this league. And sometimes everyone knows what's coming. You have to be able to beat them when they know it's coming, right? Chad, here's another question from you. Thank you, man. Is Patrick missing these throws because of footwork or is he pressing too much?
Yes. Pressing too much is making him rush his feet and thinking he can throw off the back of his foot when he doesn't have to. But there's sometimes when you're about to get hit, you got to let the ball go, right? But I think he's doing some things just out of habit and shortcut because he's so used to running around. I think that pass to Kels yesterday that did sail on him, I don't think he had to throw it off his back foot. He could have taken a tick more and really thrown from a base. And I think it's a bit of both.
Always a little bit of both. And Patrick has talked about ad nauseum, honestly, about going back and watching and trying to improve his footwork. The biggest problem is the pressure. And I said this yesterday. I think you can directly correlate how the pressure affects him from a calm and a footwork and a basic standpoint. It hasn't really affected him up until this season. But, when you're pressured on 40.3% of your dropbacks in a game like he was yesterday for the first time since October of 2023, some things are going to come back to haunt you a little bit. And I think that's what happened in this situation. Just that pressure got to him.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chad.
I agree with you. I want to get to some of these questions, and now I am caught up, Dan. But first, we got to tell you about our pals. Check them out at BetUS.
The best way to get into the action is with BetUS and their deal with code YouTube150. You can start playing today with that exclusive offer. You can get into all the football that you want, whether it's this week's matchup for the Chiefs, whether it's getting into the season-long odds against Super Bowl, against the division. The Chiefs are heavily favored in a lot of those, but there are plenty of bets to be made. And you can do it all at BetUS, where you can get 150% of your deposit bonus up to 3 times and up to $2,000. Use YouTube 150 today at BetUS.
Okay, that said, I am now on the board, Daniel. Thank you.
Let's go.
For moving the show to this point. So now I will ask you some questions. Craig, love the content, Ryan and Dan. Thank you, sir. How about bringing in Bakhtiari or Donovan Smith on practice squad and help them to help the young tackles possibly activate in emergency? Dan will tell you exactly why.
This is exactly what we've been asking for. Not necessarily Bakhtiari, because I don't believe that he's played in 2+ years, and I don't think he can give you much of anything. We know Donovan Smith has played football in the last calendar year, and he knows the system, and he knows exactly what these players do. He just won a Super Bowl playing left tackle for you. So, yes, I would be totally for it. We've asked. It doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to have this situation be where you're at coming into the season with young tackles and just kind of, trial by firing it. I'm not a huge fan of that myself. And I think that Donovan Smith, even if he's not going to be fully ready to go yet, like you said, on the practice squad, get him in there and he can help these young players. You can ask him questions. You could even just bring him up and have him as he can just be sitting on the bench with these guys, not activated, ready to go. Like, you don't have to do any of this with him. You don't have to rush him along. He can be there. It makes too much sense, in my opinion, to not have him be there just to help these guys out.
As to Bakhtiari, the last time he played snaps, was game number 1 of last season. So we are now 16 plus 10 weeks. So we're 26 weeks. We're half a football year in terms of on-field play out from him actually being able to contribute. And I just don't think it's there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the super chat. We appreciate you. Odds that DJ Humphrey could help if healthy. Could he be healthy in the playoffs given timing of the ACL injury? I don't remember the week that it happened. Do you, Dan? Dan's looking it up. DJ Humphrey is an interesting case. Like, it would be a roll of the dice. It would have to be vet min. And honestly, even with the ACL, like it would be rolling the dice pretty hard. I wouldn't necessarily bet that that's something that he'd be able to contribute, but I could be wrong. It is about the timing.
So he tore his ACL September 24th. Zero chance he's going to be able to play the rest of the season. It just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So yeah, he's done for until next season at best.
Yeah. I thought maybe it was still in August, so I couldn't keep up with that. So thank you though, Will. And we will keep him on the off season, on the free agency radar. We'll see what happens there. Is there a bright spot? This offense looks bad, like really bad. I mean, I get what you're saying. It looks bad for a Chiefs offense. You look at offense around the league, it doesn't look that bad. You know what I mean? Especially if you guys play fantasy, wide receivers aren't doing nothing this year. The passing game is down. Guys that have been really clicking the last couple of seasons, I don't think that they're as on it as the past. Am I being too rosy colored glasses there, Dan?
I mean, I think that there's realistic issues, and I think Andy Reid and everyone knows that there were realistic issues last year. They were able to work through them and kind of get to what they were best at the right time. And right now, they are doing what they do best. They're running the ball in between the tackles, and they're sustaining long drives. And the one thing I think that when you can't do that, it makes it all look tough. The Broncos are a real defense. It's real. Like Vance Joseph has done a fantastic job. That team is very good. I make no bones about it. It's a very good team. And I think that Bo Nix, when you're able to do a little bit more with 4, shows you what he is, but the Chiefs really couldn't do that defensively yesterday, but he shows you what he can offer. And he's been very good with his legs for the majority of the season. The Chiefs did a good job of really just not letting him do anything in that regard, but it shows you, I think, how this offense specifically, where defenses are like, we don't want you to do anything but long drives. That's what they've had to do. It's had to be long, sustained drives, and it's had to be conversions on third down, getting to third and short, and executing, being efficient with the ball. And when those things don't happen and they're not executed, and because the defense is playing really good against you, yeah, it's going to look bad because there's nothing else in their bag that they can bring out and say, oh, we can just go and do this. Well, you don't have much else right now with the injuries that they have.
Yeah, I think you're right. Let's see if they can turn it around. And if anybody can, I think it'll be them. Hanneman, nice to see you. You saw the illegal contact people are bitching about on Twitter, right? I actually haven't. I've been busy all day and most of last night. I get that it's inconsistently called, but it's clearly a penalty, right? Or am I taking crazy pills? Do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah, it was the illegal contact penalty that gave the Chiefs a first down on that third down, where they ended up going to score a touchdown. And it's called, or it's not called, but it's illegal contact by the book, by the definition. And they want to complain about it because it can be gray area-y at times with illegal contact. What does it mean versus, what do they actually call? What do they actually see? So the fact of the matter is, sometimes it's called, sometimes it's not. And in that situation, it was called. But what happens after that? Do the Broncos defense just leave the field? Do they stop playing defense? Can they, I don't know, stop the Chiefs from scoring a touchdown? Yeah, they could have. They didn't. So we're over here bitching about a one call that you don't like. And penalties, when you do the research and you go into it, most of the time they come out in the wash. They have no overarching impact on the football game themselves. So I've stopped really, you guys, over the last few years, you really noticed that I've really stopped complaining about referees. Like Ryan and I just don't care anymore, because what does it matter now? What matters is what's being played. So it just play defense. Don't let them score.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you could probably call that penalty at least once on every single play of the game.
Most likely.
There's that, and holding goes on every play. It's just whether they see it or not. And that's why it's like, oh, they called it that time. I don't buy all the conspiracy theories, but I can see why people talk about them. Michael, nice to see you. Glad we won, but why did Andy not tell Spags to call the dogs off and let them score so we would have the ball last? It's a fair question. I have trouble with this myself. Nobody wants to give up points. It's hard for coaches to say, Ole, let him in. You know what I mean? Because you feel like if it wasn't for that last play or something, that was looking like, what was it? It would have been outside the 40. So you feel like you have a good shot at keeping the kicker from making that one, right? Ended up being a 35-yarder or something like that, right? So It's basically rolling the dice that your guys are going to stand up, showing faith in your defensive players that they can try to get that stop. And that's my guess exactly why they wouldn't.
It's a mentality thing. These coaches don't do anything half-assed. At least they don't want anyone to do anything half-assed. And I'll tell you this, from what we have seen largely over the season, if you quote unquote let somebody score, these guys are going down in bounds. And at that point, they're just going to start kneeling it so they can kick a field goal anyway. So you're risking a maybe 20-yard field goal versus a 35-yard field goal where you have the kick can go really high. If it's closer, you can really sky that kick. But if the further back you can make that kick, the better chance you have of blocking it. And Dan Orlovsky did a great breakdown of they attacked the same guy all game long on every single kick. Go and watch it. If you can find it on Twitter, they singled out the left tackle and they attacked him each different kick. And they found out that you can just push this guy over. And so what they do, they sent Justin Reed and then they just collapsed the left side of that line. And they had two guys in position to block it. If Leo didn't do it, George Kalafdis was doing it. And so it didn't matter.
And that's the thing. I think McAfee talked about it as well. Speaking of McAfee, thank you, Michael. Nice to see you. Adam, is sitting players and ending the undefeated streak bad juju? I think Pat McCaffrey talked about it with the Colts in 2011. I don't think so. I don't think the team thinks so. I think the only thing that matters is if the players in the room think that it's bad juju, then it is.
Right? They're very superstitious, you guys. This isn't baseball level superstitious, but everywhere else, sports players are very superstitious. I don't believe that Andy Reid or anybody else in this locker room believes if they have an undefeated season at that point and they sit, then anything's going to happen.
I'm with you. Gary, nice to see you back in Vancouver, Washington after watching the game. Good for you. I have some good friends down there. Airport in Casey was packed with out-of-area Chiefs fans going home after the game. Casey is cuckoo for the Chiefs. Love it. Thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate it. The bandwagon has definitely grown. Eh, Gary? It's kind of nice to see. Adam's got another one. Is Black Friday home Raiders game the start of them locking in the way Christmas Raiders game was last year? P.S. I am going to that one. Hey, good for you. Have a good time. I mean, it may absolutely be. They are just developing until they get to that X mark, and then it's all go. And I just don't know when they pull that trigger.
Nobody knows. We're going to find out, right? We're going to find the game out eventually, whenever it is. But until then, have fun with these 2-3 point games, guys.
Right? I mean, and honestly, the Bills game matters. The Steelers game right now matters because of the standings. If they lose a ball game, it's not the end of the world. They don't have to go undefeated to have the number one seed and give themselves the best path forward to the Super Bowl. And that's really all they care about at the end of the day. Why have sacks been down this year, Des asks. I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
I don't really have a good answer for you because the blitz, I mean, half of their sacks this year have been caused by blitzers. And the only thing that I have is that, you had a couple of games where you still had Charles Omenihu last year. He got hurt, but overall, no one is winning their one-on-ones. Chris Jones's sack production has gone down because teams are like, hey, we don't want you beating us. Or we just don't want it. Or we don't want to deal with it. But he's still doing everything he can to create pressure. He's getting matchups on the outside. The first drive of the game, he should have had a sack. Bo Nix got the ball out. Like there's just not much you can do about that. George has been slow to start the year. He ramped up a little bit, but he's not winning quickly. Ball's coming out faster. This is the problem. When you don't draft edges with speed, you rely on pocket collapsing players and Chris Jones winning one-on-ones on the inside or double teams. Now he's getting triple teams sometimes, but there's so much attention there that you're forcing your pocket collapsers to have to win in less than 3 seconds, and the ball's coming out too fast. That's really what it is.
Less than 2.5 at this rate, right?
Absolutely.
What was Bo's time to throw? I will look that up here shortly.
That's a good idea.
And this is why you guys always hear us talk, me in particular, talk about speed rushers, not just edge rushers in the draft cycle, because the Chiefs don't invest in those. Uche, right? BJ Thompson was going to be one of those. They're secondary thoughts in this system for Spags. And that's honestly why it is. Although I will say, it looks like George has been crisper and a little bit quicker with his hands in the last couple of weeks to me.
Sorry, guys.
That's all right. Rock on, Des. Thanks, buddy. Clinton, thank you as always. Given the meager draft capital, CB, LT, wide receiver, D-line, OG at 32. Well, you didn't put running back in there, so I'm with you, my friend. Do you have anything that stands out to you right now, buddy?
Honestly, it depends on how the draft goes, because there's going to be a lot of talk about how this is a down year, and it is. We're probably going to see close to maybe 15, 17 first round grades. At least that's how I'm picturing it right now. And you're going to have to be taking, again, an FAU type player at 32 if that's where you're at. So you have to judge it based on what's available. I think that there's going to be some good developmental players. I do think corner is pretty good. In my actual last mock for TDN that I did last week, I had them taking Decario Davis, cornerback out of Arizona. Big, physical, long, tackles well. He exactly what the Chiefs want. You think about the injury to Jalen Watson. I think that he fits that prototype on the outside, but really it just depends. The way that I would, given those players, those positions, for me, it would be between corner and defensive line at this point.
I like the defensive line as well. And I do think the Chiefs will have to be more active in free agency this year because of the contract structures and what they've found in development. Unless they part ways from Jawan Taylor, I don't think left tackle is in the plan or a possibility at number one.
Agreed.
My guess is they trade out of it. Thundarius, nice to see you. I'm only here till the boys show up. Okay, good to see you, Thundarius. You might not even be here anymore, but how about those Chiefs? Nice to see you, pal. Ryan and Dan, when does Menahue come back to play this year? Number 90. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate you. Everybody give Gary a hand. He's one of our mods, and he kind of runs the show around here. You in the chat should enjoy him. If you end up with a special membership here, you can thank a couple of people, but don't cross paths with Gary because he will boot you. So, Gary, according to Andy today, they're all within striking distance, and we might even see them practice, including a Menahue this week. But I think he's probably the least ready to go, in my opinion, because I think they have to be cautious with him. Given the state of the pass rush, they're going to need him in January. So I don't think that they see, given the fact they keep winning, that they have to have him in December and certainly not in November.
And that's the thing, is that as long as they continue to find ways to win football games, they're not going to rush their players back. They're just not going to do it. They're going to wait to get ready for the postseason because that's what this all comes down to. They're trying to bide their time. I would imagine Menahue comes back late mid-December.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Adam, thank you, buddy. Hope you're doing well up there in Canada. Are you more concerned about our lack of pass rush with 4 guys or our lack of ability to pass protect with 5? Which is the bigger issue for you right now?
The bigger issue is the lack of the ability to pass protect with 5, because at the end of the day, the defense is going to be able to create different things to make it happen. The difference with blitzing versus chipping is that when you chip with tight ends and running backs, those guys can't get out into their route. So now you have less wide receiver options for your quarterback and less quick options for that pressure. So I'm okay blitzing because I think Spags does a great job of giving you more behind that to really screw with what the quarterback is seeing, versus now Patrick has less to look at. He's got less to figure out, and guys that have to get open underneath and find different ways when you have more players defensively able to take that away.
I completely agree with you. It's paramount to protect the quarterback. It's the most important. I will also say this: Spags, by rotating his blitzer in particular, but the way he approaches the blitz, it keeps him from being predictable so that teams can't then do replacement passing, hit hot routes where they expect the blitzer to come from. That is absolutely key going forward. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate your support, buddy. Jeremy, how confident are you in the Chiefs this season, Dan?
I'm feeling pretty good about them, to be very honest with you. If they're winning these games right now, when they're fully healthy, quote unquote, fully healthy later in the postseason, they're going to know exactly how to win every single possible game scenario. And that's something that they'll have on top of every team that they play, because they play only weird games.
Two things. This is a little bit rare, and we're concerned about these guys because rookies have been pressed into action on the offensive side, which is not normal for this roster. Kingsley and even Wanye, being a second-year player who only got a couple of starts, like both of them have been pressed into action maybe before they were ready. Xavier Worthy, same thing. He's still thinking out there. He's still having a couple of struggles because he's been pressed into action early because of the injury situation. So I'm still supremely confident in the fact that they can win ugly now, means when they are full strength, they'll have a better time cruising. Thanks, buddy. Nice to see you. Why can't we get home with 4, Dan? Blitzers have half the sacks. Uche is supposed to be good.
Yeah, so we did kind of cover this, Brian, a little bit with their inability to win with the guys not named Chris Jones. It's just been more of the ball's coming out too quick. And now Josh Uche, second week into the game plan. The real thing that he's going to be able to provide you is pure pass rush potential when there's zero threat of run. Zero. In that game against the Broncos, they were close the whole time. Actually, they had the lead. So he's a less effective player when you just trade for him, when you don't have obvious passing situations and the ball is still coming out fairly quickly and they're not holding that football, right? So I believe Uche is going to help this team in the long run. When you're ahead in football games and teams are trying to come back, you can unleash him. You can get creative with him in the blitzes, but also he's going to have to know his responsibilities on those blitzes. You don't just come over and 2 weeks in and know exactly what you're supposed to do on all of Spag's blitzes. It's a long list of stuff. So I think when you get Charles Menahue back and Mike Dana looks all the way healthy, you get Felix out there too, there's going to be some fun things that happen in December, January, and February when these start coming around.
Yeah, I agree with you. I will also add this. It pays to have Chris Jones, but you have to take advantage of those matches. We talked about George. We talked about Uche now. But remember this too. Derek Nottie, nowhere near 100%. He's been in the injury list the entire season. Yeah. He has a significant upper body issue that he is playing through. He's maybe 70% of himself. Wharton just got back from an injury. Mike Dana just got back from an injury. Malik Herring is not a speed gap crusher. He is, again, a slower, less explosive power player that crushes the pocket. He's trying. They don't have the guys to take advantage of the double teams as much as they have in the past as well. So you got to train them up. James, why do you guys never comment on Nagy? Ever since Nagy has been back, Mahomes' numbers have been down, and this offense has struggled. Nagy sucks. Well, because I don't agree with you, James. Because I'll tell you exactly why. And this is the opposite of what they said when Eric Bieniemy was here. The two guys that are most important to this offense are Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Matt Nagy is a distant third, just as Eric Bieniemy was. The difference is Eric Bieniemy hold guys to account, and I think that is missing a little bit. That's really what it comes down to.
For me, no, you're good. The way the defenses are playing is a bit different. It just is. Teams are, again, forcing the Chiefs to have to go the length of the field and be this efficient, short passing offense, and when you don't have that, it comes out of the way. So we always want to blame the offensive coordinator, right? There's always blame to go around. At the end of the day, Andy Reid puts this together. He calls the plays. He tells Matt Nagy what to tell Patrick Mahomes to run. That's what happens. So that's why I've given up on trying to put blame on an offensive coordinator's head when it's the head coaches.
The play call and play execution are paramount. Matt Nagy's more influential Wednesday through Friday than he is on Sunday. No offense, Matt. I think he would tell you that as well. He is a designer. Brett, thank you. What's the Wanye update? Did Kingsley look? How did Kingsley look? How effed are we? Well, Brett, clearly you didn't see the ball game. Kingsley struggled. I think it was 4 pressures on 11 snaps versus, I think, 1 pressure from Wanye and 15 snaps. And he said today he thinks Wanye is going to be okay. Yeah. He said they got to see how it goes. I didn't see any other update other than what Andy said himself. Did you?
No, Andy just basically alluded to the fact that he thinks he'll be good to go. Since he was able to come back, he's going to get better throughout the week.
Okay, gotcha. Got to say Kingsley should be your starting left tackle and just let him grow with time. I also think our offense will be fine with Pacheco coming back and eventually Juju and Brown. What do you say, Dan?
Yeah, I think this is what the Chiefs are waiting on, right? They're waiting to get healthy, and so they have to run what they can and what they do well in the macro, right? In the short area of time to be able to get the micro. It's not the micro, it's the micro first. Either way, you guys know what I'm talking about. So in the short period of time that they have until they can get healthier, then they can run more of their playbook. Pacheco gives them more outside feel. You can run that pitch that Ryan loves so much better with Pacheco than you can with Hunt. There's more that you can do when you have a full array of players and not just kind of bargain bin at this point at the running back position. And that's what it is. Kareem Hunt's done a fantastic job, guys, but he can only do one thing. It's one thing. So defenses know it's coming.
That one thing is good, though. I love a vertical.
It's pretty good.
Let's get after it, right? Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate you.
I was gonna say you can hit the Kingsley part.
Oh, the Kingsley part, sure. That was my original intention as well. And I think had they done that, he would have continued to slowly progress. I think taking him out has slowed his progression because I don't think practice reps are pushing him, right? Again, he got shocked a little bit yesterday, and I do think he will continue to grow. I don't know if it's the best way forward to throw him back in there now. If Wane is less than 100%, then I think it probably is. But if Wane can be fine, then okay, then we're good to go, even if he's 95%. But at that point, I think you got to unlock Kingsley's head so his head is controlling his feet better than what we saw. And maybe that just takes a week of preparation. Maybe it takes more than that.
Yeah, I agree.
Cheers, Logan. Appreciate you, buddy. I don't have anything good, but here you go. There's a soda water for you. Cooch, thank you, buddy. Appreciate that one. Cooch got another one. Appreciate you there as well. How do we match up with Buffalo? Keys to win. Well, we're going to break all that down for you on Friday in our game plan video. We always go back and forth. We give you the 4 points. We come back, and if you guys want exclusive content, it's over on Autograph, free app, but you can get us exclusively for the X Factors on game day. We always have that. We will hit you with that. But I will say this. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. This defense, I think, is prepared to deal with him, but they got to mind their P's and Q's. I'm really excited, and I should have asked you at the top of the show, Dan, what your impression was of one rookie, Jaden Hicks, because I come away feeling like he's starting to progress. He might be part of the answer against Josh.
He's been ramped up the last few weeks, and you guys want to know why? Because he can hit Josh Allen, and he can wrap him up. I'm hoping, because we've seen a couple, each over the past 2 weeks, he's come down and laid a hit on somebody, and it's gone relatively unnoticed and untalked about, but he's starting to get involved more. I saw him rotating at that too high safety spot, coming down in the box. I cannot tell you guys how excited I am to see Jaden Hicks involved more because I loved him so much as a prospect at Washington State. He's just a football player, and I love those guys that can hit you with technique, not just throwing your body around to throw it around. He hits with technique, and that rubs off on the entire defense. So I think Josh is going to have some one-on-one matchups with Jaden Hicks, and that excites me very, very much. I will say this year they do match up as well as they usually do. The Bills defense plays a very sound brand of football. They're always in the right spots. They're rarely out of position. And Taron Johnson is so good. I don't know if Patrick's going to be able to throw hopefully we get a matchup with him and DeAndre Hopkins almost all game long because I don't know about you guys. I loved watching Pat Surtain and DeAndre Hopkins going at it. I want to see that again. I think that brings some nice fuel to the fire there too. But like Ryan said, we're going to have matchups and everything for you guys for the keys in that game. But I do think they match up well.
Yeah. Be back with us Friday. I promise you. Thank you, Kuj. And thanks for the support, buddy. Appreciate it. Mr. Pena or Miss, sorry. Linear. I am terrible.
Oh, linear, maybe.
I apologize, but I'm going to hit you anyway because thank you for the support.
Thank you.
One change on both sides of the ball that you want before the playoffs start. Andy Spag having all the good plays for the playoffs is stressing me out. I'm with you. I guarantee you that. Pick one. What do you got?
Okay. This is going to sound like me saying I want this for myself. Xavier Worthy needs more touches. He needs more touches. He just does. You throw him the ball once, twice a game. Yeah. He had that drop at the sideline. Okay. He was getting a 2-yard gain. That doesn't really bother me very much. And then he got loose downfield and you missed him on a touchdown. Then you have that little floater. He needs to get real targets, real. Like these feel like empty calories, right? The little sideline stuff, the little pop pass around. Get him some real wide receiver stuff and just get that going, because I think that he's also on the path of needing some confidence as well. He's just not been able to. He's had some up and down stuff as well. Like he's not been good for some of these last couple games. He had a penalty. He ran out of bounds against the Buccaneers, so he needs some confidence as well. And something that Andy Reid usually does with his players that need confidence, he gives it to them. I always go back to that fumble from not just Carson Steele this year, but Kareem Hunt, his first year as a rookie. He fumbled on the first play of the game, and he went right back to him. Sometimes it feels like Andy's kind of gotten away from that. So I would personally, on the offensive side, I would love to see them get him more intentional touches in these football games going forward.
I like that. Less gimmicky. I'm completely with you. I will say this too. I want to just see a efficient, relentless, ruthless, quick game. You know what? If you want to get safeties to come down, you want to have those opportunities to run play action, get Xavier those deep balls, run the quick game. Get those 8-yard digs. Get those low crossers. They ran mesh several times yesterday. Yeah. They weren't able to hit it because of the pressure. Buy yourselves enough time, whether it's with a tight end, an extra lineman for all I care, but run some mesh so that you can get those crossers so you can start training up and draw everybody down. I want you to demand attention from the safeties and bring them closer to the line of scrimmage so you can get done what you want to get done. Great season, even with the ugly wins. Do you agree, Dan? Thank you, Knicks fan.
Anytime you see Chiefs winning football games, it's a great season, and they're winning all of them. So yeah, it's a great season.
Ding, ding, ding. Chiefs comments. This might be barking up the right tree, but I'd like to see them go back to Steele. In his limited carries, he seems to have way more juice. Hunt seems pretty worn down. Thoughts? I will say that it did seem like Kareem slowed down a bit after, especially where he had to make contact and continue to grind his legs. And that's why I think that when they say the pass game is an extension of the run game, that certainly applies with Kareem. So drift that way. I too would like to see Steele get a few more carries for the relief aspect on Kareem, if nothing else. How about you?
Kareem Hunt had the most touches and yards of any player in the Super Bowl era after they were added to a team when the season started. After the season started, he had like 118 touches in his first 5 games with the Chiefs. That has never happened from someone joining a football team midseason, ever. Yes, he's worn down. He didn't get training camp, and he's a bit on the older side, coming off a couple injuries as well for a running back position and for a guy who plays a very physical brand of football. Yeah, he's kind of worn down, but I'll give it to him. He has done a great job of recovering and still going out there and fighting through whatever his body feels, because I can tell you right now, his body does not feel good. It doesn't.
It felt like they had one conversation on the way back from the airport. Hey, you feel good? You ready to go? Okay, good. Here's your playbook. Here's the ice tub. Get your ass in the game. Let's go, because we're not taking the gas off of you. And you know what? That's fine. He does seem very, very respectful to be back. And I think it's just got to last a little bit longer until Pacheco's back to give some relief. So I like your thought there, Chiefs comments. Hanneman, nice to see you. Or K. Chandeman. Which NFC division winner, as it currently stands, would give the Chiefs the toughest fight in the Super Bowl? And yes, I'm already assuming they get there because the scriptwriter is a Chiefs fan. See, I don't even play into this. I cannot. The script writing thing, makes my blood boil. And I'm not saying that to you, Mr. Chandeman. I'm just like, people will start to believe it. The more we say stuff like that, they will start to believe it.
Yeah.
But in terms of matchup, Dan, who do you got?
So right now it is the Lions, and it's because of the ways that they can open the middle of the field. They willingly attack the middle of the field, not just with tight ends or running backs, but with wide receivers. They will run digs. They will run to backside. They'll get the ball to, now they're using, Jameson Williams as a guy who is running those dig routes, and he's be too. So I think it's the Lions, and they're also playing very physical brand of football on the defensive side that you're seeing Terry and Arnold and Carlton Davis and honestly Jack Campbell's playing really good football for them too. Obviously they don't have Aiden Hutchinson, but they're still doing a good job. Liam McNeil is a force. He is a fantastic football player. I loved him coming out of college. He's a really good football player, and I think that they're going to get that defense playing well. So I think it's the Lions for me.
I have to jump to this one real quick. Olaner, I apologize. And I'm here for you. I'm sorry I messed that up. Yeah, you can hold it against me. I deserve that. Cheers and thank you.
Thank you.
See, there we go. My daughter takes French and I just don't understand it. Sorry. LK, thank you for the weekly Chiefs content. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome. Like, sub, hit the bell, folks, if you haven't already. Let's go, RGR. Brian, thank you very much. We appreciate you. What is the plan from this day forward? We've talked about the players, but what's the plan for you, or you think they should follow?
It's Wanya Morris the rest of the season. I think, again, I believe that he's done a good job over the last month of getting just better. I think that he was, again, like you said, one pressure in the 15 snaps he played. He was getting better as he got more acclimated to the offense. So it's Wanya Morris the rest of the season, and you're going to have to find out what happens after that, because you want to get the development track started for Kingsley. So hopefully this offseason, wherever he's going to end up, playing right tackle, left tackle, because maybe Wanya Morris sticks at left. You don't really know. He's still a young player too. Like both of these players are young. You're going to find out the best about them going forward. And I think that he's still got the highest upside. So it's going to be, there's no quote unquote fix. It's already there. You have Wanya Morris and you have Kingsley, who is their developmental player that they're going to develop there.
Yeah, it's like making a good soup or a good pizza. It's in the oven. You just got to wait and let it actually cook. I disagree. I think Kingsley has more potential at left tackle. I do want to see Wanya at right, and I think they could be. Oh, okay. I thought you. I just
said maybe. I said maybe. Okay. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, that's true. It is up in the air. I give it a 51%. That's where I'm at. Green, thank you, buddy. Chiefs equal the 2023 Eagles. I mean,
it's possible. I mean, they're trying to go for a three-peat, right? It's possible they make it and lose. Like that's true. It's possible.
Yeah, the other teams play the games too, right? And I will say this.
I'm wrong.
Maybe not the team that I'm most scared of, but the player that I'm most scared of, just in terms of how they hurt the Chiefs. It might be the Commanders for me. And Jalen attacking the Chiefs linebackers with the run. Like, I don't know if they end up getting there, but like if I was just going to talk about one matchup, it's Josh Allen and Lamar in the AFC, and it might be Jaden. There's a theme here, folks.
I read this wrong. The Eagles last year started off really hot, and then they just lost pretty much almost every game to the end of the season, and then got kicked out of the first round. That's on me. So Green, I don't think that this is true. I will say it would not shock me if down the stretch they lost a couple of these games. If they continue to play this way, you will lose football games. You eventually run out of blocked kicks and luck stuff like that, overtime, getting the coin tossed and then going down and scoring a touchdown. Eventually things turn the opposite way.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you. And I was thinking the same thing. Like, yes, the Bills are probably the biggest circle on here. Then you have the Panthers. You have Raiders, Chargers. I do feel pretty comfortable with those, especially Raiders. Yeah, you can piss off Raider fans. Browns don't scare me. The Texans showed a lot of fight last night, and I think they still have fight in there, especially they get Nico back. Maybe they turn things around. Maybe they're formidable. I don't know. But for me, the next one is the Steelers. And I hate to say it, and it's not because of Russell, it's because of TJ, because I think he's the guy on the defensive side that could wreck what the Chiefs are trying to do. So, yeah, there's still a couple of hurdles out there you got to be careful of.
It's the defense for sure.
Yeah. Green, thank you, buddy. Detroit versus Houston proved wins are not a quarterback stat. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And kudos to Jared Goff, because he ended up saving my fantasy night. So I had a choice between him or Stroud, and I made the right choice. Just barely.
That was a game. I don't even.
Olaneer, thank you again. And I will not say Olivier next time, I promise. Callie, nice to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Did you get to that game? Are the days of scoring 30 or more points over for us? Or am I being too greedy? We only hit 30 once this year. I won't say greedy. We're a little spoiled because I am in the same boat. Like they're right on the edge for me, and I think they will get there. But it's also when you get Hollywood, if you got Rasheed Rack, that would make the possibility of 30 so much different than it is right now.
Just so you guys know, Rashee Rice still leads the Chiefs receivers in yards, and he hasn't played since that Chargers game. So there's reason to believe that if Rashee Rice were still on the field, they'd probably be scoring more points. I do believe that. And also, if they continue to run block the way that they have for Kareem Hunt when Isaiah Pacheco comes back, they're going to get some explosives in the run game.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. And I think that's in the offing for sure. Callie, hope you're doing well, brother. Take care. Let's see. Bankroll Spence. This always makes me nervous when you put bank in your time and you're wearing a wolf outfit. I don't like the undefeated mojo. I'm with you. I don't care about going undefeated. The Dolphins can have it. Couldn't care less. All I care about is that Lombardi. It doesn't matter if you limp, cross, or explode over the goal line. Just get it done. Notorious, nice to see you. Am I too hopeful? Or with CEH, Hunt, Pacheco all back together, would we consider that a Hydra? And the Juju D-Hop combination. 3-peat, almost assured. I'm with you until that last sentence, dude.
Yeah. Don't speak it. Don't speak it.
Yeah, I can't say that out loud. But I do like the concepts. Yes. A 3-headed monster.
If CEH is healthier than he's ever been in his NFL career, mentally and physically, yeah, as your third back, I'm good with that. I'm very good with that.
Yeah. And Steele is your backup battering ram. I'll take that. He's actually been really good in short yardage, in seeing the holes and getting over things and hurdling some things. So, yeah, I love that running back room if that's where we're at. Thank you, buddy, and appreciate the support. And thank you, Knicks fan. Our last super chat for the night, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for being here. Check out BetUS and make sure that you like, sub, and hit the bell. They seem tired from the short week. I think you nailed it. And it's something that I talked with Matt Derrick about after we finished Locked On last night. It was late. And I was like, are they just wore down? Because they look tired. Even if you look the celebration in the locker room. Yes, there were hugs and stuff for Leo at first. But like even like their celebration felt subdued because they just felt like the Bucks took more out of them than we thought they did is where I'm at.
That's fair. You go overtime and you have to really kind of drudge that game back. And it's on Monday night. Yeah, absolutely. I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad that we agree.
Thank
you guys for being with us. Thank you, Dan, for setting everything up since I was a little bit, on the clock there to get.
I thought they fixed it, but it looks like they didn't. Hey, StreamYard, get it together, please.
Yeah. Hey, one day everything's going to work like it's supposed to, including my watch. It's going to be great. You guys enjoy your week. I'll have a breakdown for you tomorrow. Dan will have filmed the day after that. We will continue rolling. Thank you for being with us tonight. And Dan, thank you for all of your insight and keeping me on track, dude.
Yeah, guys, have a great rest of your Monday. This game is weird already. A couple of straight turnovers, 10-0 Miami. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully it's not like it was last night where it's just turnover city.
Okay, bring on Tua to Waddle. That's what I need in my other fantasy league. All right. Have a great night, folks. We'll catch you later.